wanted to just say, I am so glad you joined us today. Welcome to what's called the Caregiver Cup free holiday workshop. I'm a caregiver. I've been a caregiver now. This is my 8th year. And my personal mission is to go ahead and help other caregivers because I struggled my very first 2 years as a caregiver so bad. And when you go ahead and look for tools and resources, it's kind of reminds me of like you're fishing. You're fishing, and sometimes you'll get a fish and figure out, how where they're biting, and then sometimes you can't, and it's hit and miss. And so, about 3 years ago, I was it 3 years or 4 years? No, 4 years, because in 2020 I started what was called the Caregiver Cup podcast and wanted to just share my experiences, my tips, and then bring on guests. And one thing led to another. And really, I just want to give back most of the time. I make very, very, very little money doing this because it's just my passion project that I go ahead and do. So I call this workshop gifting yourself joy, peace, and personal time, especially during the holidays right now, and navigating both your emotional stress and your physical stress, and really trying to figure out how can I go ahead and take care of myself all along the way as well. So let me see here once. I put this statement out here, and I have my notes on this other screen, so I'm just going to kind of go back and forth here one. But I created this statement because I think it reflects what we are going through as caregivers, and really is the holiday season really brings unique and intensified challenges for us as caregivers. It really, really does. And by understanding these stressors, we can develop really effective strategies and some personal well-being amidst all of this holiday chaos that we're going through as well. And so in the chat, I would love for you to tell me, I got to bring my chat down here once, on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being good stress, 5 being extremely high. Where is your stress level right now when it comes to caregiving and the holidays? Where is it at? If you only could see my office right now, because I have a, a like a card table with, I'm trying to wrap presents. I have a laundry basket over here. So mine is just as bad. Steph says 4, Mary Kay says 4, Wendy says 5. Oh, I would rate mine to a 4. I would really, because I feel like I'm a little stressed. If you don't follow me, or if you do follow me, my husband was inpatient last week. He had his chemotherapy treatment, and then he had either, they can't figure it out, an allergic reaction or a bacterial infection, which put him into the hospital within maybe 6 hours after his chemotherapy treatment. And so we know what that stress is like, and we know what we're battling here. It's probably nothing new. Here's a little bit of a picture of a fast version of my Christmases. Like I said, this is my 8th year from a Christmas perspective and a caregiving perspective. In the upper right-hand corner is a picture of my husband right now and myself. He is fighting he's been fighting cancer for over 7 years. We're looking at a second stem cell transplant from a donor at the first of the year. And so he's continuing to fight his stage 4 Hodgkin's and non-Hodgkin's, which have married themselves into that. So I'm lucky that he's a very, very positive person and a pretty upbeat person. But the bottom right-hand corner was when my journey all started. In 2017, both my dad and my husband were both diagnosed within 2 weeks of each other. My dad was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer and didn't last very long. And then my husband was in that picture at the same time. They were in the chemotherapy chairs at the same time. So that first Christmas, I didn't even care about it at all. I didn't even want it to come because it was just another added version. When my dad passed away, I had to deal with my mom, who is like a rabid elf. She's just an energetic person that loves Christmas and wants to do it all, which totally stressed me out because she wanted to bake cookies and wrap presents and decorate Christmas trees, go shopping, go to holiday events, and I had to work full time, balance everything, and I was just overwhelmed as well. So that's just a really quick down and dirty version of my holidays with my family. Oops. Oh, you don't want to read my emails. So what I did is I created fictitious characters that we could go ahead and relate to. And at the end, I'm going to share with you four of them. And at the end, I want you to tell me which one you can relate to the most. I try to get a little creative and made it a little bit of fun, but Tinsel Tina here she is struggling to manage all the added responsibilities like decorating and cooking and baking and organizing all of the things. She's putting so much pressure on getting everything done, and she feels like she can't meet these high expectations for this perfect holiday season, both personally, professionally, and with others. She's feeling physical fatigue, emotional fatigue from balancing the duties. That would have been me smiling behind my grin and grinding teeth with my mom because I couldn't get everything done, but I didn't want to disappoint her. So she's experiencing stress, frustration, and sometimes resentment over the added workload. So that's Tina there. And then when we go to melancholy, Marge, she is feeling overly sad about the whole situation. She's had to decline invitations due to her loved one's condition, maybe the immunity of their condition, and they can't go out a lot, or their physical demands. She's feeling lonely. She's longing for past Christmases or holidays or Hanukkahs where she could go ahead and go out and celebrate and dress up a little bit and, enjoy it. And so this has been an emotional struggle for her where she's feeling depressed and sad. And when that's the quiet time is when the melancholy most comes back. And so maybe you can relate to Marge. But then there's busy Brenda, where she is constantly on the go, trying to run and do this errand, do this, get this done, work demands, pressures, all of that. And she during this time of the year, she doesn't have any time for herself. And so she's putting herself on the back burner because she's balancing multiple loads. Maybe she is a sandwich caregiver, which means a sandwich generation caregiver where she's got a family and she's taking care of her parents and she's working, whatever it would be. And so she has multiple roles. And the big thing is she's neglecting her own self-care and she feels exhausted and probably will end up sick after the holidays. And then there's anxious Alice here, and she has anxiety over the whole thing of trying to go ahead and get everything done. And maybe she's worried she's going to forget something or whatever it would be. And then at the same time, she has fear of missing out on things as well. She knows that the holidays she'll have to go ahead and spend it with her loved one, and she wants to be in the other place with the rest of the family or the rest of her friends, and she can't do that. And she's feeling emotionally strapped. She's feeling the emotional things. She's had to help out with the caregiving expenses. She's missed work this past year because of the fact that she's had to be at appointments, and she's feeling total emotional turmoil. So, those were the fictitious characters I created. Tell me which one you can relate to. Which one stands out for you? Is there one that stands out for you? Or is there multiple ones? Busy Brenda, Mary Kay, you're a busy Brenda. Yeah. You know what I think about Mary Kay is that Energizer Bunny. I don't know. I'm old school where that Energizer Bunny just keeps going and then eventually the battery runs out. You have a mix of a few of them, Steph. Yeah, Wendy, you have a mixture of a few as well. Well, that's what I wanted to do is I wanted to set the stage today for um, set the stage for how we might be feeling as caregivers because it is normal to go ahead and feel the way we do. And let me see if I can. Oh, geez, Louise. Sorry about that. messed up my slides here a minute. Oh, here we go. You are not alone when it comes to caregiving and when it comes to um, the whole thing when it comes to all of those mixed emotions and the overwhelm and the stretching. You're going to feel that. Welcome, Lacey. I saw that you had joined us. What I wanted to do here once is share that there's a lot of stats. I pulled these stats from the National Alliance for Caregiving, AARP, American Psychological Association, and caregiver.org. There are so many stats out there. Google can be your best friend. It also can be your best enemy when you read some of these as well, because 70% of caregivers feel overwhelmed during the holidays. And, we feel that overwhelmed during the rest of the year as well, but now add the holidays onto it. 65% surveyed experience loneliness while others celebrate, and they're either alone or if you have a significant other, you're going to a party without them, whatever it would be. 60% of caregivers face increased sadness due to the added responsibilities and changes. Things aren't the same anymore when it comes to caregiving. I will be that way. We don't even know if I can have my 3 kids over their significant other and the grandkids because Dennis was in the hospital last week and he's immune compromised. And so we're still waiting to see, or if we do it, he may have to be in a separate room, or I may have to go to a different site with the family and he may have to stay behind, or I may choose to stay behind as well and let the kids celebrate alone. And that makes me sad. It makes me sad and a little bit angry as well. 45% of us feel financial stress due to the increased caregiving cost and holiday expenses. I know, friends, that you can relate to this. I know you can. And you're probably nodding your head. But really, I'm not trying to be this downer person here. I just want to tell you that understanding these challenges is the first step towards finding peace and joy this holiday season, or of moments of it if you can't find it all together. And so that's the piece here. And so, what I want to quickly do before we get into the good stuff today is I want to just talk about recognizing these emotions is one of the things that you want to do. The holiday can bring unique challenges and for us as caregivers, and it intensifies that overwhelm and loneliness and financial stress. And so, really going ahead and looking at recognizing these emotional stressors is an important piece. I want you to think about, and you can put it in the chat if you want to, or you can just think about it yourself. What are your emotional responses when it comes to your overwhelm, especially during the holidays, or your sadness during the holidays, or the pressures that you feel? How do you respond? And thinking about your emotions, how do you respond? Because I want you to think about looking at normalizing these feelings. It's okay to feel the way you feel. It is really okay because that is an important piece. What I put on this slide here is you want to think about normalizing it. You're not the only one that's going to feel sad or anger or just wanting to go ahead and skip Christmas. I said that the year that like I said, my mom loved Christmas. She should have been an elf. I swear she should have been an elf. The first year after my dad passed away, she wanted to put up a full Christmas tree. She wanted to buy gifts for all 12 of her grandchildren, all 13 of her great grandchildren. She wanted to go ahead and bake cookies and candy and package them up and bring them to the neighbors and all of this. I mean, I could go on, but she needed my help. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm working full time. How am I going to do this? But then on the flip side, I want her to have a memorable Christmas. And so I had to realize that it was okay to feel stressed and frustrated. It was okay. I also had to look at the situation that your loved one is in. And if you're dealing with a loved one with an illness, you're going to probably feel sad because you can't celebrate the same way. And you need to know what triggers you from a holiday perspective. If you want to be the Grinch, you want to go ahead and normalize that and saying, yeah, it feels more blue for me this year. Any thoughts on this before I move to the next slide? Some of you are smiling. I see some of you going, that way. Okay. Because when you can acknowledge and understand your emotions, it's the first step again towards that peace and joy during the holiday season, or a lower expectation for you. Or better yet, finding memorable moments during the holidays that you never thought you would have. And that's my wish for you as well, being able to do that. Okay. Okay. So the next piece is looking at once I can going ahead and embrace those emotions or at least acknowledge those emotions, then I can start being aware and getting to accepting the reality. And I know that it sounds kind of woo woo. This one does embrace your self compassion, but give yourself some grace. It's really okay to set realistic holiday goals for you and your loved one and do the best that you can. And then think about practical steps to accepting it. It's okay to say, "Oh gosh, yeah, we can't go to the family gathering this year." My husband's name is Dennis. We can't go to other family gatherings this year because of his being immune compromised, because we have that goal for him to have a stem cell transplant at the beginning of the year. And if he becomes immune compromised, that may push it back or it might change the whole outcome of that. And so we have to look at it there. But I have to think about how can I build my emotional resilience? I don't want to be sitting underneath the Christmas tree crying the whole Christmas season or being angry at the world or that sort of thing. What can I do differently and just create small little moments? And we're going to get into these ideas in just a minute and being able to focus on that. Because again, I kind of sound like a broken record here, but through awareness and acceptance, we can transform our holiday expectations for our loved one and for ourselves and find these little things that we can do. And that's where I want to share that in just a second here. So here's where I want to spend some time. That's why I called it a workshop today, is I want you to think about this and do this little activity or challenge with me. And um, doing that is I want you to think about your holiday stressors right now. When I coach a client and they're going through something major, I tell them grab a notepad and a paper and write down your stressors. So you can do that afterwards if you want to. Or right now, you could reflect on what is a stressor right now that's really thing. Because a lot of you, Lacey, I asked a question earlier. If you had to rate your stress right now when it comes to caregiving and the holidays, one being least, five being the worst or the greatest, where would you rate yourself? Most of the group rated themselves a 4 or a 5. And so that's where we're all at. So when you think about it, what is one of your biggest challenges right now? Your biggest stressors during the holiday season? Does anybody want to share one? Or I can start out by sharing one myself too. So what would be one for you? You can type it in the chat or you can shout it out if you want to. Do you have a stressor that right now that's a challenge for you as a caregiver? Gift buying. Thank you, Mary Kay. That's a really good example. And so now, when you think about this is a stressor for you, choose one of the following questions and share your experience. We can do this together. What's one holiday task that feels overwhelming right now? You said gift buying. How has caregiving affected your ability to enjoy the holiday season? Well, you're probably feeling stressed. So, what's one thing you wish you could simplify when it comes to gift buying? What could you potentially do? And we're going to talk about that. Holiday meal planning, Lacey. I'm in the same boat right now. If I get to have the holidays, what do I want to do for the holidays and the meal planning? Because I agree with you, Lacey. There's the shopping, there's the coordination of it all. Do you have people bringing in a dish? Do you have a formal setting, informal setting, all of the lists to buy? It's a lot of work. I'm just point blank doing that on top of caregiving. Yeah. Any other stressors that you can think of? One for me was baking cookies with my mom. First of all, I don't want the cookies because I'm a cookie fiend. When I get a thing of cookies in front of me, I just won't eat one. I'll probably eat four or five. And so to have them in the house, I don't want them. They're so good and I don't want them. And then my mom loves to roll out the cookies. Oh, and you eat the dough, Mary Kay? Yeah. My mom loves to roll out the cookies and she wants to frosting them and decorate them. And then she wants to put them in individual little containers and give them to all of her neighbors and friends when she was in her senior apartment. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's hours and hours and hours of work to go ahead and do. Yeah. Any others that you can think of? Yeah, for me too, it's trying to go ahead and protect my loved one from getting sick and being able to say, okay, how can I ensure that they don't get sick during the holidays? Because my daughter-in-law works at a school and my son calls it a petri dish. And so, and you have the grandchildren that coming in and they're sick, so that's an added stress and pressure for me as well. So I want you to think about that when you're thinking about your holiday stressors. You can ask yourself these questions to determine what is the stressor. When we share our experiences, we it can lighten the load for us because what we're going to do today is we're going to go ahead and spend the last half of this and we're going to talk about ways to simplify, ways to shift our thinking, ways to do things differently, and we're going to provide new perspectives. And by doing that, we're supporting each other by opening up about our unique challenges, and we're realizing we're not the only one feeling this, we're feeling it as well. I mean, something as simple as decorating, and I shouldn't say simple. For some people, it's fun. For other people, it's hard. And I'm gonna pick on you a little bit, Steph. You said you caregive for your mom. Well, if you're in two separate homes, and I don't even know if you are, but if you're in two separate homes, you're trying to decorate your own home, but then you have to go ahead and think about your parents' home as well. My mom got into their apartments have contests. They have door decorating contests. Oh my gosh. So add on top of my mom, who was this little elf, she wanted the best door in the apartment building that she was in. And it's like, okay, mom, now we got to look for Pinterest ideas. Now we got to look for decorations. She wanted lights, so we had to find battery operated lights. We had to figure out a way that it was all going to stay sticking up. Oh, yeah. So Kathy, the one that's not creative, I was trying to do that. And that adds a whole nother pressure to it. But then on the flip side, you see the joy that they have. Lacey, thanks for putting that. You said you're a full-time caregiver and your mother-in-law has knee problems. Yeah. And being able to do all of those things and then add the pressure of the holidays onto that. And next Monday begins therapy. Oh my gosh. So you have that whole thing as well, and being able to do all of that. Yeah, it can be very, very overwhelming. So we're going to spend the next 20 to 25 minutes on simplifying, and then we're going to talk about mindset so that we can think of ways as caregivers to go ahead and move into the holidays a little bit differently, or at least catch up if you're already into it as well, because simplicity is going to make the world of a difference. By simplifying and finding joy with personal tips and hacks, I love hacks. I love to cheat my way responsibly through caregiving. I really do. And I want you to think about simplifying traditions. What can you do to still celebrate the holidays, but it doesn't have to be this big, big ordeal? Does anybody have a tradition that they're simplifying right now? I can share one with you that I started last year, is because my husband is immune compromised, and if he's in a chemotherapy cycle, sometimes attending events is he's in this fog, and sometimes lights get him crazy, sometimes noise gets him funky feeling, and so on. And so, what we do each and every year is we do it 2 weekends, and we pick a night that's really nice. After dinner, we both put on our pajamas, we both put on our slippers, we make our favorite beverage like hot cocoa, or I make my decaf coffee. We get in the car, we play Christmas music, and we drive around and look at Christmas lights. And there's some, like in our area, there's some Facebook groups that say, you got to go to this house and you got to go here. And we stay in the car. And we drive around and look at the Christmas lights. I have two fur babies. We put them in the back seat as well. And we drive around until we're tired, usually within an hour. And it is so much fun. I can't tell you how much fun it is just to be able to drive around, and it's just something simple to go ahead and do to still feel like you have that holiday cheer a little bit differently, versus in the past we would go to a musical, or we would go to some plays, or we would go to a Christmas party, whether it would be coworkers or it would be family members, and we do something different. So that's one of mine. Anyone else have any ideas?
I've just cut down on decorating. I mean, I'm a caregiver for my mom. She lives in her own. She's still living independently, thank God, but she can't drive or anything. So this year, I mean, yes, I put up a tree and put up some decorations, but I'm not going all out like I have before. And same thing with my house. Got a tree. That's good. We're good.
Yep. Mary Kay, I used to think about when my grandparents were alive and my husband's grandparents were alive. I always wondered why they got rid of their big Christmas tree and went to a tabletop tree. I always wondered that as a kid, and I'm like, they decorated. Now I know. Now I know. You know?
First year I've put up. We also have my 2-year-old granddaughter lives with us, so and I'm also her caregiver.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so I did put up a big tree this year because the look on her face, it was worth it. It was worth it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've still kept the decorations to a minimum.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Even like our lights outside, it's like my husband can't do very much anymore, so we simplified. I have a couple of light up wreaths that I don't even take the lights off anymore and just plop them on and plug them in, and I simplified as well. Good. What else? I want to tackle who said meal prepping? Is there a way, Lacey, with your holiday meal planning that you could simplify that? I'm trying to think out loud for you. I'll just kind of give you some of my thoughts and if you jump in, you can jump in, but and maybe you go ahead and look at a different menu that's a little bit easier. Maybe you have somebody prepare something. Maybe you can go to a local deli or a store where they make the meat and all you have to do is put it in the slow cooker. Maybe if everybody bring them a, a dish to pass. Ah, there we go, Steph. Good idea. Make food ahead of time that you can freeze. Because there's nothing worse than spending your whole day that day or the day before, and then you have guests over and you feel exhausted. Oh, good, Lacey. You've broken it down into small steps and have already begun some things. Mix dry ingredients ahead of time. Good job. Yeah, definitely. You almost have to. We have to get scrappy as far as that too. And Mary Kay, for your gift buying, you know how much I've bought online now because of the pandemic? It's taught me so much. So it's just now I have to simplify the wrapping a little bit and or make it fun in a way. So thinking about that. Good. I see some more messages coming who use instant potatoes, canned products wherever possible. Yeah, you have to think about what can I do to simplify it and not make it this big ordeal. Or what I've done once in a while is I would invite a friend over because I was yearning for somebody to talk to. And I'd bring a friend over and I'll say, I'll buy a bottle of wine if you come over and help me prep the meal for tomorrow. And, bringing somebody over. Oh, Steph, you are such a good idea. She said, don't forget to buy things for yourself on Amazon as your secret Santa. You have to. Those are the moments of joy. Yeah. So, more things to think about is create new traditions for yourself. What can you do? Because you may not be able to go ahead and do everything that you used to do or go places that you used to go. I've incorporated tree time because you put up this beautiful Christmas tree with the lights, and I turn off everything and I sit with my favorite beverage by the thing. It's usually a hot tea or coffee. I'm not a drinker at all anymore. And so I just sit there by the tree and just enjoy it. And being able to do that by myself, but doing it in a pleasant way and enjoying it, being able to look at past photo albums with my parents and the fun things that we used to do at Christmas time without being melancholy, but just going ahead and doing that. What are some new traditions that you could create for yourself too? Thinking about that. Anything that you can think of. I've learned to go to church sometimes by myself or calling up a friend and ask if I can join their family at church just for the holiday. So I have somebody to sit next to because most of the time Dennis can't go to Christmas or we watch Christmas on TV from our Christmas mass on TV sometimes. So being able to do things that way. Yeah, keep up taking walks by myself. Yeah. And you know what? If you have a safe neighborhood, sometimes taking walks after dinner now with the Christmas lights on, if you have a safe neighborhood, if you're in a residential area, might be fun too. I walk in the morning with my dogs and I have this big light. My brother bought me a light for the top of my stocking cap with my dogs, and the Christmas lights are out. And it's really, yeah, but being able to keep up some of those self-care routines, I think, Steph, that's what you're getting at as well, is an important piece. So I want you to think about, is there anything? Oops, I see somebody put something here as well. My teen boys and I decorate the day after Thanksgiving but they are both working now. I was stressing on how to get it all done, so we decided to put it up early this year since we weren't hosting Thanksgiving. I did the same thing. They usually do the tree while I do the rest because I am picky. Okay, I get it. They started pulling things out of boxes and putting them up. I just let them go for it. Oh, that's so cool. I've also been trying to take a little time for myself, even just watching funny videos while sipping tea. That's my favorite laugh time is I am just weird that way. I've been watching funny videos too and just laughing. This year I'm hoping that the kids can come over and we'll do some fun games. Or if they can't come over, we gather somewhere else and do some of those Christmas games too, where they're just fun and we get some laughs in as well. Think about delegating and prioritizing. Think about your realistic goals during the holidays because I think COVID's taught us a little bit, unfortunately, about, people may be sick and people may not being able to go. I'm thinking about you, Lacey, with your loved one with their knee issues and being able to work through that. And then thank you, Steph, for saying incorporating self-care moments, because I think that's an important piece as well. I want to spend time about the feelings of isolation and sadness. I think that we may feel that way. If you feel sadness or isolation or things aren't the same anymore, just give me an emoji to say a thumbs up or something. If you feel moments of that, it is it is normal. It can be heavier though during the holidays for a lot of people when it comes to that. Um, my sister right now, she's divorced and she still feels that isolation and sadness because Christmases aren't the same anymore. She's not a caregiver, but she still feels it. We have these discussions every week and I say to her, I'm like, it is a normal feeling to have that heaviness or that blue Christmas feeling or that sadness and it amplifies during the holiday season because we have these, or at least I do. You watch these Hallmark movies and they're just beautiful. Everything's just happy and fuzzy and fun, and that's not reality. So I think finding solace amidst the loneliness is something that caregivers can continuously work on and looking for. And some ideas here that I just kind of made it general here, but you want to embrace like personal activities for yourself. If you love Christmas music, maybe you just take a day and you stroll I don't even know how many malls are out there anymore, but you stroll the malls. And especially that 2 weeks before the holidays, you might get choirs that are gonna be singing at certain locations, and you can just walk by and just listen to them, and it gives you that warm, fuzzy feeling. Or maybe there's a hobby that you can do during the holidays. As a matter of fact, I have this really cheap Jippo kind of bracelet. My mom and I found these old beads that we had, and we made Christmas bracelets for each other. And this is so old and it's just about ready to fall apart, but I don't give up on it because my mom made that for me. And it was just a thing that we did because we wanted to gift something to each other. And it was just a nice little gesture. And I wear it during the holidays just for her. So what are your interests during the holidays? Do you want to watch all of the Christmas Crank movie and the Elf movie, or do you want to watch the White Christmas movie? Maybe that's something for you. Do you want to go ahead and if it's snowing by you, do you want to go for a walk in the snow? What are your interests? And what can you do to go ahead and spark joy? Or if you're just like, I'm struggling with Christmas, I'm just going to do something non-Christmas. What can you do during the holidays that's going to bring you some joy? Don't forget to ask your friends and family, hey, if you bake cookies, I would love to come over and just help. And because I'm not going to be able to do them this year, you might want to do that. Or Maybe you like to ring bells with the Salvation Army with your coworkers. Can you get away for it, an hour and find somebody to sit with your loved one for an hour and do that? That's like something that may get you out and being able to do that. How can you connect in new ways? Have you had to do that at all? Connecting in new ways? I've had to with some of my family and friends. I've even gone to the point where we FaceTimed for the holidays, and you'd go ahead and FaceTime and do that. We've sang Christmas carols back and forth to each other, or put on funny little character ears and just said happy holidays. And that was our greeting, and that was our gathering for the year. Or what can you do to fill your sadness with positive actions? If you have ideas here, please share them, because I think you're going to feel like those moments of, oh, this isn't fair. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling melancholy. Marge and Lacey, we were reviewing some characters at the beginning of the piece. So we had busy Betty, but we also had melancholy Marge, where she was just sitting there thinking, okay, my loved one's sleeping on Christmas Eve and it's only 7 o'clock at night and I'm feeling lonely. I'm feeling sad. Most people are gathering with their families tonight, and I can't do that because I'm watching my loved one. So, what could you do differently to go ahead and bring some solace to that loneliness? Any suggestions? Gonna wait here just a second, see if anybody comes up with anything. Anybody like Christmas drink, or um, being able to play some Christmas music, or going to mass. I'm trying to think of some other ways that you could go ahead and do that. Maybe you have, maybe you Oh, yeah, seeing any kind of live performance is always great because you feel like your community. That's a good one as well. You could do that with your loved one, but you also could do it without your loved one, depending on their situation. Yes, being able to go ahead and do that. And you still feel like you're part of the holidays and you get some cheer in you as well. Anybody else? Okay, well, if you think of any, let me know, because you're going to have to experiment and play with different things. I know that there's been Christmases where I didn't get to the Christmas baking, or I didn't even get time to do that. And you know what I decided to do on Christmas Eve night is I'm going to go ahead and put in a dozen cookies, and they were pre-made chocolate chip dough that I bought at the store, but then I sprinkled on some red sugar on the top so they looked festive. And so then I had some cookies in the morning and it made me feel good. I mean, I hardly did any work at all and the house smelled good. So, I mean, that was nice as well. Um, my mom and I would drive around on Christmas Eve too, and we would look at some lights and being able to do that. So yeah, just being able to go ahead and do something so that you get out. Um, I suggested to my sister, I said, because her kids are all over the country and not everybody can come home for the Christmas holidays, and she's feeling melancholy. And I said, you know what you have to do is your kids are going to think you're absolutely crazy. Set up your camera and videotape you singing jingle bells with, she has two cats, and put something on the cats and make a jingle bell video and then send it to them. And they're going to think mom's off of her rocker. But she started laughing and having fun. And I'm like, yeah, you don't have, it doesn't have to be financial. It doesn't have to be big bells and whistles. And you could just be able to have a little bit of fun. And then they can call you back, or you can say, okay, now you're it. You have to send something back to me. And they can go ahead and send something back as well. So just kind of pulling out that creative hat. Now, all of this requires thinking about your new holiday mindset and thinking about what can you do differently and have this positive mindset towards the holidays versus Humpty Dumpty Dump and I'm down and it's not the same anymore. Yeah, it's not the same, but building that holiday positive mindset is important. I always talk about that our brain loves to protect us and keep us safe and keep us prepared for bad news and bad situations. And so when we start thinking negative, it's going to feed us and continue to think us of us negative. And so you want your brain to have this 50-50 positive and negative, realistic and optimistic brain, but you don't want it to go ahead and go, fill up to be all negative or fill up to be all, unrealistic. So you want to go ahead and work on your muscle and your new holiday mindset muscle and what can you do? Because when you adopt a positive mindset, you can then start practicing self-compassion. You can start embracing, that resilience muscle and think of different things to do during the holiday experience that are joyful. Maybe you find peppermint bubble bath or peppermint steamer for your shower and you're smelling candy canes while you're taking your shower in the morning, and that's just a magical moment for you. You just have to think about different ways. But what I wanted to say is the holidays are going to probably look different for most of us. And it won't be easy for a lot of us, but you can find small moments of joy and create different memories. I mean, I think about, when my dad's last year before his pancreatic cancer took his life, we made sure we had a special uh, small little dinner with him. And he loved custard pie. And so I didn't bake it. I went and bought custard pie at the store, but I brought it back and I put different holiday decorations on it. I crushed up the candy cane and put candy cane on it. And then I put this fun little Christmas decoration on it. And he was so excited to be able to have that. We went ahead and played a really simple game of cards. And so he got to enjoy the simple game of cards, and that was it. So it takes holiday, that resilient mindset, and letting go of the traditional expectations where it's got to be this big hoopla. I mean, I didn't even exchange a gift with him because it was materialistic, wasn't important at that time, and we focused on gratitude and the positive things, and we practice, and you want to think about practicing self-compassion and resilience for yourself as well. So I want you to think about, I'm trying to think if I had something that I wanted to ask you here once. I want you to think about, what does that look like for you? What could you do? What traditions can you let go of and still make it a memorable holiday? That's what I was going to ask you. What tradition can you let go of and make it memorable? I want you to think about that. Is there anything that you're going to let go of this year? I know for me, it's baking cookies. I'm letting go of that. I don't need them. And it's like, I don't want the work. I just don't want the work. And if I need some cookies, I'll just buy some at a bakery and just buy a dozen. So I'll have them in the house during Christmas, and that'll be enough. Is there anything you're letting go of? Just give you a second here to see if there's anybody that has anything. For me in Wisconsin, I'm letting go of the fact that it's going to snow because there's no snow here right now. I want it to snow, but there's no snow, just cold. Okay, if you think of anything, let me know. I want to conclude today with I am here to help you. If you're feeling like I just can't get past my melancholy, my stress, my anger, my resentment. I want to share with you some of the things that I do. Like I said, I do 90% of my business just on a mission to help caregivers free of charge. I really do. I don't really I don't have this ambition to make millions and millions of dollars or even thousands and thousands of dollars because I was a caregiver and I know how it feels. But I wanted to share with you that if you haven't listened, I have the Caregiver Cup podcast. It's like I said, I've been doing it for 3 years. It it fluctuates. I'm usually within the top 10 caregiver podcasts in America. And sometimes I'm 11, sometimes I'm 12, sometimes I'm 8. I'm very proud of that. I do it without any sponsors. And so if you click on the code here, it'll take you directly to my podcast site. If you need it separately, I can email you that as well, and I'll put it in an email after the session. But what's nice about that link is you can go to the search field, and if you're feeling something, I have over 240 episodes. And if you need a specific inspiration, motivation, or a tip, you can go there and listen to that episode. 2 episodes ago, I went through all of the emotions that people feel during the holidays. This past week, I went through reminders of what to do when your loved one is in the ER and inpatient. So I have ones on just all different topics. I've had guests.
I
I've
did.
had, I've had, I've had Barbara from the Shark Tank. She came on my podcast episode, and she shared dementia. Let me just go ahead and mute you here. It's Lacey. There we go. So that was good. So if I've had, some well-influenced people, but I also have everyday caregivers like you and I sharing it. Good. I'm glad you listened to one, Stephanie. Feel free to listen to more. I mean, they're out there just because that's what I love to do. And I get super excited every week when I can share a podcast episode. I usually tell everybody around me, this is the best episode ever. And the next week, it's the best episode ever. And so I just love doing what I do. So, okay. I also have some paid courses that are very minimal. The one I wanted to make note of here is I've just launched one this past fall called Conquering Resentment, and being able to go ahead and deal with anger and resentment. That was one that I've been coaching clients and they've been struggling with. And so I have 5 steps to more peace and joy in caregiving and how to work through anger and resentment. I If you're struggling with anger and resentment, my first suggestion would be to find a podcast and try to work through it free. If that doesn't work, I have this course as well. It's not opening the QR code, then go to kathylvan.com/resentment. Try that once, Steph, and see if that would work. I can even put it in the. Thank you for letting me know. That's the first time I've used QR codes in a presentation. Try that once. That should take you right there. There we go. So that's out there for you if you are looking for more help with that. And another thing is I do one-on-one coaching as well. I have coaching programs that will help with maybe you have one issue and you just need to work through one issue. I have a 1-hour coaching program and some follow-up things that I do, but I also have a 3-month coaching program where somebody's really honing in on something that they need to improve. Like maybe they're struggling with working with family members, or maybe they're struggling with their own self-care and doing that. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Steph. There. So I also have the kathylvan.com/work with me if you wanted to check out that. All of these, I will put in a follow-up email with you tomorrow morning so that you'll have all of these to go ahead and do. But that's just my way of saying I have lots of free. I also have one out there that I didn't put on here. It's kathylvan.com/resources. I hate having to do the HTTPS thing on here. There we go. And that one out there too, I have tons of resources as well that you'll be able to go ahead and check out too. So you'll be able to look at those so that you can go ahead and find stuff that works for you. I feel like I am a store that's very, very full right now. So I just keep filling that store up with all these resources for you. So that will help you. So before we end today, I wanted to first of all thank you for attending, but I also I wanted to give you the last 5 minutes or so. If you had any questions, if you had any comments, if you're struggling with something specifically, I'm here to work through it with you for 5 minutes. So, because together we can navigate the holidays with strength and grace. Does anybody have anything that they're really struggling with right now that we as a group could put our heads together and help you through? Or better yet, too, was this helpful for you? Was this something that you can go back and take and saying, yeah, I'm going to try this, or I'm glad I found you, whatever your thoughts are. Mary Kay, do you have anything that I can help you with?
This has been very helpful, but I've got
Okay.
a question is, how do you handle resentment toward siblings that aren't stepping up to,
Mhm.
help with like an aging parent?
I know it. I know
And,
it.
and they're local. I mean, but
I
they can.
know. Yeah, I've had that happen to me, where um my siblings would go on a week-long vacation, or they couldn't stay with my mom who was in the hospital overnight because and I'll be honest with you that she had to go home and wash her hair. That was her excuse. And so being able to go ahead and control that is us, it's it's a personal thing. First of all, um, there's a couple of things that I could say. You could talk to them, but I'm going to ask you, is it worth it?
I try.
Um, yeah. So yeah, better yet, yeah, it's a personal thing that you're going to have to work on. You're
Yeah,
going to have to work on saying, okay, they're not going to help. So, how do I release that anger and resentment when it's consuming me? Because what's going to happen, and make a long story short, if you keep that anger and resentment bottled up, what's it going to do to you? Yeah,
yeah. Hmm.
it's going to eat away. It's going to affect your immune system, your stress, your relationship with your loved one, the relationship with your siblings. Yeah, you just have to keep asking though. I would not get to the point where your anger and resentment gets to the point where you just are no longer going to go ahead and ask. Um, but you're going to have to be assertive to say, okay, since you're not going to have to help, then I'm taking care of mom. And then you're going to have to find a way to release it. So that's where I want you to go. I want you to go to my podcast episode. As a matter of fact, let me go out here right now, quick once. Let's see if I can get this slide up here once. Um, Hold on 1 minute. I'm going to stop sharing quick, and I'm going to grab my podcast episodes here on my website, and I'm going to go back and share right here. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and search it, and we're going to look for resentment. And I will go through. I have many of them here. This one here, understanding and overcoming caregiver resentment and anger. And it's going to say what happens with it. And you're going to be able to do this. I also want you to listen to Dr. J.J. Kelly. She talks about the emotional complexities and your emotional intelligence when you work through those situations. What I'm trying to get at here, Mary Kay, is there's not one answer, one size that fits all. You're going to go ahead and have to say the approach is, can I talk to them and improve the situation? If I can't do that, the only person that I can change is myself.
Right.
And then how am I going to go ahead and release that anger and resentment and embrace more joy and compassion for myself? You can still have that frustration towards them, and that's normal, but you just don't want it to consume your every hour and then get to the point where it's affecting your health, your relationships, even your care with your loved one. Does that help?
Very. Thank you. I will look.
Yeah.
I will definitely listen to those.
Yeah, listen to those. I love this thing when you can go out here and you can go ahead and search for different ones related. So I always put in the keywords to all of my episodes in there. Good. Anybody else? Steph or Wendy or Lacey? Lacey, I put you on mute because I had background noise. So if anybody has anything, let me know. We can go ahead and do that. I just clicked off my chat, so I want to make sure. Here's a new one here. I have to go. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you, Steph. Thank you. I will send you an email. And then if you do have any other questions, I can answer them via email. I might even take those questions and put those onto my podcast episode. And when I do put questions on my podcast episodes, if you don't want me to bring up your name, just saying, I want this to be anonymous, and I'll go ahead and respect your privacy. Well, thank you everybody for going ahead and attending today. I just love doing this. So thank you for letting me do this with you. And if you have other suggestions, let me know as well.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Bye, everybody.